Nothing same remains. Hope has deserted me. Time has changed her visage. Now, rivulets of pain course down my face stead a smile. When I see she who stood by me can't stand, whose eyes I saw the world through, can't see. She who taught me to write, can't write. She who lifted me when I stumbled, can't help but stumble.
See, initially in the beginning, when I had problems, I thought they were happenings that were occurring with what was happening to me with my life at that time. Like, yes, in the beginning, like I had Bipasha and I had, she was suffering from septicemia. And the doctor told me that it was all my blood that gave her this disease. And yes, I thought that yes, there is something wrong with me. After that, I had my second child after 4 years. At that time, I went into, I didn't go through a difficult labor like my older daughters. It wasn't so bad, but at that time also, I couldn't walk. I couldn't move around. I felt as if I am walking on a cloud. And yes, I liked the feeling of being on the cloud. I liked it. That has occurred many times. And I didn't think it was MS. I really didn't.
The diagnosis, the final diagnosis, confirmed diagnosis, was only made in 1982. Right? In 1979. Right? These symptoms first started appearing in 1975.
The symptoms first began appearing in
So from 75 to 79, I had some very strange symptoms, right, which I could not make sense of, right, and which the doctors could not make sense of. Some of these symptoms were very severe. Right. This included a stroke. Right. This included loss of hearing, very sudden loss of hearing. Right. This was diagnosed initially as viral encephalitis. One doctor diagnosed malingering. Lots of others guessed. Finally, in 79, when I had my second stroke, I was staying with a doctor, right, who was specializing in medicine. He was the one who diagnosed multiple sclerosis. But even this was not confirmed until I went to Australia in 1993. That's almost 18 years after the symptoms first appeared.
Multiple sclerosis is an uncommon disease of the central nervous system, and it affects the brain, spinal cord, and the optic nerves. Now, in India, it is supposed to be relatively uncommon, but quite a few cases have come to our knowledge as awareness of the disease becomes more and more among the public as well as among various doctors. It is a disorder where the myelin of the brain gets damaged by an autoimmune process. That means the body produces substances which damage the myelin which is present in the brain and the spinal cord. Myelin is the outer covering of the nerve fibers, and it acts as an insulator of the nerve fibers. So this particular chemical, which is a fatty substance, it gets damaged by an autoimmune process. Multiple sclerosis is mainly a disorder of white people, and it is much more common in the temperate climates of the world. So in Europe, especially in the Scandinavian countries, in North America, in Australia, New Zealand, it is a fairly common disorder. Among brown people, like Indians, It is less common, though it is not unknown, and it is very rare among black people in Africa or in America, and also fairly rare in the yellow races. Now, what exactly produces the disorder is not known clearly, but there are various genetic as well as environmental factors. And when there is an interplay of these environmental and genetic factors, the disease manifests itself. The disease is common in young people, young in the sense in the 15 to 45 age group, where the disease first manifests itself.
For me to get the correct diagnosis, it took almost about 2.5 to 3 months, because first we could not detect. I mean, generally it was like, oh, weakness, or maybe just sitting in the house, you know, no exercise, so like putting on weight or something like that. Like I was on leave for my CA intermediate exams that time in November, for my November 99 attempt, so I was on leave for 3 months. So I would just sit and study for say 10 to 12 hours every day, and like no outing, nothing, just sitting in the house studying constantly. And then when I just started feeling like I just couldn't, like we used to stay on the first floor, I just couldn't climb down even that, or climb up even that. I would just get tired and start sweating just climbing just one flight of the staircase. So then we went to the doctor, nearby doctor, and he told me that we'll go in for blood test, sugar test. Then he tested, he was like, hemoglobin is normal, this is normal. But then he went on giving me this calcium and vitamin injections. So temporarily, maybe that time, like 2-3 days, I felt better. But again, after 2-3 days, the same problem. One of my aunts was working in the pathology department in Jahangir Hospital. So that's what when she said, it's better at least you come to this hospital and you refer to one of the doctors over there. So we referred to Dr. Deshpande. He's a very senior doctor over there. He's a general practitioner. So when we went there, he tested me with all. He made me, like, you know, he told me sit cross-legged on the ground and try to get up without taking any support. Then lift up each and every leg and, you know, just put it down straight. I just couldn't do that. And I couldn't walk straight. And he couldn't make out that very easily. When I entered his cabin, he was like, "Kai chal raha hai? Ashi kai chaltes?" So that's how it started. Then, like after 2-3 days, again he said, no, there is a definite problem. So then he advised us to go into the brain scanning, and then MRI scanning.
There was something wrong, yes. It began with, I used to keep going to the toilet very frequently. I went out in the sun. I was a teacher. Every time I'd go out in the sun, my legs would just buckle. I found that I wasn't able to stand. I would just collapse.
Some of the common symptoms of this disorder are an acute onset of loss of vision or blindness, which can occur in one or both eyes. Another common symptom is an eye movement disorder, where the person cannot focus his eyes properly and the eyes stop being parallel to each other. So you get a squint and you can get double vision. Also, if the spinal cord is affected, you can get paralyzed below the waist. Your muscles of the legs or the upper limbs do not work, or there is loss of sensation in the lower limb, on the trunk, and in the upper limbs. And because of this, the person may not be able to walk or carry out his daily activities. Also, the function of passing urine and stool may be affected, and the person may need to have artificial methods of removal of his urine and stool. So this disorder occurs in attacks. An attack may come, say, once a year or once every 2 years, or it is totally unpredictable when an attack can come. A person can get only one attack in his life, or he can get hundreds of attacks in his life. And with each attack, there is increasing disability in the person. So it has a very unpredictable nature, and we do not know or predict whether an attack will come. If it will come, which part of the brain or spinal cord will be affected, how severe the attack would be, and whether recovery would occur or not.
And again in MRI scanning, it was like first both the times the report had come to normal. Then he was like, but there's still a problem. So he referred me to Dr. Ichaporia. Once we met him, then he was absolutely into the MRI scan, the report for almost half an hour. That's when he said, you definitely have a problem and it's not normal, the report. This is wrong. Then he called up Dr. Kelkar, Pune Hospital. Then he told him that, I'm going to send this patient once again, so you get it done for her again. Even that time, the report was normal. And doctor told me, Vicky, you just have to go in that tunnel for say 10-15 minutes more and you'll get the right thing. I went in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 1.5 hours. Then again, they were conversing on the phone by the time I was inside the tunnel. So that time, then doctor said, if it's still coming normal, then you give her the dye injection. Then after that, they could detect what is the exact fact.
Now, as this disorder is relatively uncommon, there are many doctors who are not able to diagnose this disorder very easily, and specialist opinion from a neurologist is necessary in order to make the diagnosis with certainty. Various tools are used. First is the clinical examination and the clinical history, which helps you to come to some sort of conclusion about the diagnosis. Then there are various imaging techniques, especially CT scan and MRI. MRI particularly because it helps you to see these demyelinated areas in the brain very clearly, and it helps you to make an early diagnosis of the disease. It can also help you to know the progression of the disease and whether the various treatments which have been given are helpful in controlling the disease. In order to diagnose multiple sclerosis, one of the techniques used is the various imaging techniques which we have shown, like CT scan and MRI. Those show you the structure of the brain which is affected. In order to determine the functional impact of the lesions on the brain, various other tests are done, like evoked responses. Here we are demonstrating an evoked response called the visual evoked response. Here what we do is, a stimulus is given to the patient sits in front of a screen, and a checkerboard, alternating checkerboard pattern is shown to the patient. So this impulse goes into the patient's eye, into the optic nerve, and then is transmitted to the back of the brain. This response is then picked up by electrodes and taken to a machine with a computer which analyzes this response, and normally you get a particular pattern like a V-shaped curve called the visual evoked response. By analyzing this data, one comes to know the speed of conduction in the optic nerve. In multiple sclerosis or in any other demyelinating disorder, this speed of conduction is slowed. So this response becomes delayed or may even become absent, and may help detect lesions which are otherwise not seen, not clinically manifest, and are not seen on imaging techniques like CT scan and MRI. Another important diagnostic tool is to do an examination of the cerebrospinal fluid. That is the fluid which is covering the brain and the spinal cord. This fluid is removed with a needle placed in the back, and this fluid can be examined on various parameters and the diagnosis can be established. So once the diagnosis is established in these patients, we have to tell them the long-term prognosis of this disorder.
After that, he had told my parents, this can occur again. This is a recurring, this is like more like asthma, which can recur. It's not just one-time attack, but some people have a gap of say 5-10 years between one attack, or like between two attacks, or maybe some people have it every year almost. But even that time, I'm like, okay, fine, I'm all right. I started with my routine, so I was happy with myself. Then, say 5th Jan, I got discharged from the hospital, 5th Jan 2000, that is. And then, almost, say, the routine was on. I was going to my office, doing everything. And, say, in May 1st week, again, this started. I just couldn't walk again. And that time, I started getting tingling sensation even in my left hand. I couldn't lift anything with this. So then again I referred to the doctor. So doctor told me it's not an attack exactly, but the same thing again. So that time he advised me on supplements. Like I've been taking GLA 120, Bicosul and Evian 200.
Various treatment options are available for this disorder, but a permanent cure is at present not available to us. When acute attacks occur, various treatments, especially high-dose corticosteroid therapy, is given, and during the initial stages of the disease, the results can be fairly good and complete recovery can occur between attacks. And between attacks, the person may be close to normal or almost normal. It is when repeated attacks occur that more and more disability occurs. There are now some newer class of drugs called interferons, which can be used to prevent attacks. But these are not easily available in our country, and they are available in the Western countries, but their cost is extremely prohibitive. It may cost up to 6 to 7 lakhs of rupees every year for the rest of the patient's life. So very few patients in our country can afford this particular treatment.
I'm not taking any treatment. Nothing. I'm taking homeopathic medicine, yes. I am. I take that for my eyes and for my head and to be able to sleep. He gives me medicine for that. Yes, I don't believe in taking sleeping tablets. I don't.
So do these medicines help you in some way?
Yeah, I go to sleep. And eyes, yes, they help me, and I am taking Ayurvedic medicine also. It's a kind of powder which I mix in the milk and drink, and she says this will help you with your bladder problem. This will help your head also. Yes, and I'm not taking steroids. I'm not.
I joined gym. He said it's main thing you have to join a gym. No aerobics are not to maintain your figure or something, but just to maintain your, build up your muscles. So that time I was like, yeah, I want to lift up dumbbells and stuff like that. But he was like, kuch nahi, you have to do this. So I had joined gym, but then really that was very, very good. Even now when I got the second attack, I could see double, but I was very confident that I won't fall down. I knew I would walk zigzag, but I would not fall down. That was a very good confidence that I got.
We have to tell them the long-term prognosis of this disorder, the uncertainty that they have to live with, and very important, we have to encourage them to live as normal a life as possible, because we don't know how severe the disease would be, whether it would be severe at all or it would be mild. We do not know at present. So the person should be encouraged to live as normal a life as possible with as little stigma as possible.